everybody. I'm Ioannis, and that is
Deborah.
And this is Conversations with Deborah Ioannis, the nature of beliefs. This is one of our series that we're going to give you over the next, I don't know how many weeks, months, and we're as part of our service to the divine and to hopefully you. And this one is, how can there be so many gods that all lead to enlightenment? Because you know that there's lots and lots of gods, isn't there, darling?
Yes, and yeah, when I started out, because I come from a Christian background, you know, the first commandment is that you will have no other gods before me, or you will have no other gods. So from a Christian perspective, any other religion or faith was a no-no. And so that was a big thing for me to overcome and understand. So
it's a big thing.
Yeah.
I lived on an ashram for a couple of years, and as part of my work, I played guitar in the band, and I did all their music production and all their engineering of their musical products. But it was multi-faith, so that worked for me because I was a very strong practicing Buddhist at the time, but that was primarily Hindu, and they said there was like 3 million gods, and I just went, yes. What? And the Buddhists don't believe in any gods. There's no real gods in the form of Buddhism that I was doing, Nichiren Buddhism. So it was kind of a weird idea, because we were all going for enlightenment, and we all were coming from these completely different places, and we know that there's other faiths that have a god, like we have Allah, and maybe not a god or a prophet, or there's just so many. Look, Ricky Gervais, has being an atheist, he's done a lot of research, because he's always asked, how can you not believe in God? And he said, well, there's about 6,000 gods. So he would have a team of researchers to make sure that's right. So I think technically the figure is about 6,000 gods, and all of them are supposed to get you to. Now, they don't all go for enlightenment. Some of them just want to get to heaven. Is that where you were going, darling? In the Christian faith, it was just heaven. It was not enlightenment on earth, was it?
No. So enlightenment was like almost like a new age word. It's not used in the Christian faith. I mean, if you had to come into church and say I'm enlightened, we would like reel in horror, start praying for you,
stone you,
because that first commandment is what Christians set everything by. And and then when I started to understand and research different things in terms of the Bible and the hidden scriptures, or the letters of Jesus, and the Gospels that weren't included and that sort of thing, it kind of like opened me up to looking at different things. And I then discovered that, technically you can divide people's beliefs into 3 different sections. So basically they either believe in a God, or they believe in multiple gods, or they don't believe in any God. So every faith can kind of like be, would fit into one of those 3. And so, yeah, I mean, I can tell you a really interesting story about my beliefs, when I was devoutly Christian. And I need to say that I still am totally a lover of Lord Yeshua Jesus. And my enlightenment came through my relationship with Lord Yeshua, and him actually taking me to my truths, inner truths, and opening my eyes up to different things. So it's not that a lot of Christians would say, oh, you've abandoned Jesus, or you've forsaken him, or whatever. No, I've grown and I've evolved through my relationship with Jesus, or, the person known as Christ. And, I went on a tour once, many years ago, And it was in an Asian country, and we went along in the bus, and everybody got out at the temples, and I stayed on the bus or outside walking around praying for these lost souls and this horrible temple with these evil gods and these evil people. So, you know, that was my belief system. And I, you know, I truly believed, because I was stuck on that one, the first commandment. And, you know, I've since listened to different teachings on it. And, you know, I now question whether source, divine creator, higher, you know, the divine creator from the grand central universe would in fact, you know, give us such, you know, these words, or was it given to the power, given by the powers that be to, you know, to kind of like enslave us and to separate us from other faiths? So yeah, that's quite amusing. I did. I mean, I would stand outside the temples and pray for these aliens that are, you know, breaking God's commandment.
Well, yeah, no, that's a good point you raised, because one is the difference between religion and spirituality, and religion and a relationship with the great mystery, or the Lord, or the divine, or whatever you just put your own word in there, because that's part of what this is about. Were all these different faiths created to create divisiveness or control over the people and all that sort of thing? Is religion a tool for control rather than a tool for enlightenment and spiritual advancement?
Just the word,
you know, that's a big question. That should be another tool.
Realign religion. If you look at the word religion, is to realign you to something. And so,
okay.
And so that is, for me, that was key. If you look into a number of words that have been used to enslave us, it a whole big world opens up for you. And and I do agree with what you've said. I do believe, after a lot of research, that religion, if you take a religion and you trace it back to its roots, you will find that a lot of this was created by not divine source, not divine father, whatever you want to call God. It was created by man with an agenda, going back many years ago, to divide us on race, on beliefs, on, you know, like religion. But yeah, and it certainly has worked well.
Yeah, not only divide us, but also to enrich them and empower themselves. It seems to be one of the bits, you know, if we look at the Catholic Church and we look at the Christian Church. But, you know, we're not saying anything's wrong with any of that, because everyone makes their choices and we're all grown-ups, and we should have the critical thinking skills to decide for ourselves what's best for ourselves. We all know what's best for ourselves. But as this is about the nature of belief. What I found being in a multi-faith school for the soul, which basically was Shanti Mission was there was a lot of routes to nirvana. There was a lot of ways to get to what you wanted. Most of us were seeking that blissful peace that is meant to be as a part of enlightenment, where you rise above the earthly desires and you rise above all the suffering. And Buddhists, living is about suffering. Just the fact that you have attachments creates suffering. So everything that you own and you think you have, and the stuff, and you know, so the art of non-attachment is one of the tools for reducing suffering. But I was, for a while, I'll just relay this story because this is about the nature of belief. I was an EFT practitioner. When I say I can obviously still do it, but I don't practice as a practitioner anymore. EFT is called emotional freedom technique, and it's about tapping. So you tap on these points, on these main points, while reciting some sort of mantra, while the practitioner is doing things for you and talking you through them. and you heal or take out, reduce or clear emotional trauma. And it's been so successful in the use of PTSD, particularly with Vietnam vets. And I used it for phobias. I used it for all sorts of things, and it worked unbelievably well. Now, the story that comes from the originator is, and this is the story, this is how they sell it, because if you just say, I'm just tapping anywhere, people go, all right, okay, I'm not going to do that then, is that our meridians, our nerve meridians, not only carry neural information, they carry emotional information. So, the acupuncture charts where you see all these meridians of energy, that's true. We do have meridians of energy. We're bioelectrical beings running all over us. And they say, if you tap where these meridians terminate, you send a vibration which vibrates out the emotional trauma, emotional information.
Yes.
Well, so anyway, this university in the US somewhere, I can't remember where it was, Michigan or I can't remember exactly. I think it was Michigan. And it was 700 students. And the control experiment was that they would tap on the points. There are specific points in the system. So one group would tap, they all had phobias. So I don't know how many, I think it was 700 people involved. All of them had phobias. One group were tapping on the meridians.
Yeah.
Another group were tapping anywhere. And a third group were tapping on a doll, but the practitioner was representing the person with a doll, a little bit like voodoo. Yeah. Anyway, so they did the research, and the results came within less than 5%, and that is generally considered to be the range that you would have, false positives and false negatives, and that means tapping on the meridian points, tapping anywhere on a person, and tapping on a doll produced almost the same result of clearing a phobia.
Yes.
And the only conclusion they could come to, the people that did the research, was that it's the belief of the person being healed and of the healer that produced the result.
Yes.
And so when you think of how can I get to enlightenment, if there's so many different gods, how can each of them lead to enlightenment? We come down to the biggest point of this whole series, darling, which is it's all about belief.
Yes.
Our whole world and the way we develop spiritually and physically and just practically is about what we believe. And so,
exactly.
So my conclusion of all of this is that, yeah, any God you believe in, my God could be my dog. And I could get to enlightenment. You know what I mean?
Well, I'm not going to comment about your dog.
But is that how weird we are? Or is that how powerful we are? This is the big question of this whole talk. Are we so powerful that it's not about what we're believing in? It's just us that is creating this. This is what this series.
I believe that it is, because, if it wasn't about us and the power of who we are, and stepping into that power, they wouldn't have created so many religions and so many different beliefs in that as a divisive tool or a divisive way. Because if you look at the conflicts, if you look at the wars, if you look at people, all over the world, religion and their faith has been really, really divisive. And so for me, it's a case of, if we go back to understanding who we are and the power that we actually healed, it's massive. I think of God, because often people get confused. I mean, in the church, he was kind of like the big man in the sky, and he was always a male. He wasn't a male and female and God, so it was always a male. And he was this big man in the sky sitting amongst the clouds or somewhere, I don't know, heaven. And he basically was like Santa Claus, the big man with the beard, yes, sort of thing, and, yes, that's how kids thought of God as
it's funny how similar they are. Yeah.
Yeah. And so now for me, I kind of like think of God as this massive crystal in the galaxies, and basically of this one mountain of crystal. I use this to explain to people, so they kind of, because it's very difficult to get your head around this being, kind of light, kind of whatever. And so I say we are beams out of, because we're made in the image, we are co-creators, we are God. We are beings
nice
out
idea.
of this crystal, and
Yeah.
these beams of light go anywhere in the universe, in the galaxies or whatever, all coming off divine source, divine crystal, this energy coming out. And depending on what your journey is, what your where you at, the being, the light being, can be darker or dimmer or whatever.
Yep.
And it's kind of like pulsating. We pulsate out of this crystal, and that's how I like to think of it. And depending on how much energy you're putting into it, where you're in your journey, your being of light is at a different frequency, a different level, but always connected to divine source, the big crystal in the sky. So for me, that works, and it works better than Santa Claus floating in the sky.
Better than Santa Claus, yeah. Well, it's kind of interesting because I spent time in this school, the ashram. We had an angelic temple, which I did Qigong and Tai Chi for many years. I'm quite energy sensitive. I swear, you walk into the angelic temple, and sometimes you could just feel the archangels were in there. We had archangel corners on the points of the compass, but you could just feel the energy, just like if I had hair, it would be going upwards. I actually felt the rushes. But the other weird thing was, in the Hindu pantheon, you have a god for each different thing. So there's Saraswati for the music and the muse, and you have Lakshmi for wealth and prosperity, and you have Ganesha for now. I don't know if this is true. I didn't study in great detail. I'm not a great studier. I use a lot of instinct, but Ganesha was supposed to be for electrical things as well. There's sort of like man-made practicality and inventions. And I have a Ganesha still there, sitting in my studio. Whenever I have problems with the computer or anything, I have a little prayer to Ganesha. Because the idea of that is there is the big oneness, but in the oneness there are all these different factors. And even if you think of Buddhism has the 10 worlds, and 10 worlds, it might have anger and this and peace, and so there's all the different worlds, and different worlds are active at different times, and that's how we are. And if you think of how we are all these things, and sometimes, like yourself, we've been so blissfully happy at times that it's just stupid, and we shouldn't actually be on telly because we're too stupidly blissful. It's almost like, would you guys just shut up? But at other times we're a bit more serious, and any one of the worlds is active, and it's like, of course you can get to enlightenment through any god you choose, because if I believe Ganesha helps, and the weird thing is, because I believe it works. Because sometimes my computer will just not switch on properly. It just reboots for something, or the app. I have computer software for music, and it just will not work. And for some reason, and I just go, oh, it's more the screens. Actually, I have 2 screens, and sometimes the second screen doesn't come on. I just have a word to Ganesha. Well, click. It works. But is that Ganesha or is that me? My belief cause the enlightenment?
It's come to me now because I do that. It's just come to me, and I believe it's a bit of a download. It's you, but the problem with us is we do not remember our divine power. So we do not operate and function in our divinity, in our divine strength and power. So we believe in certain individuals that have the same power as us. But what happens is they remember, they stand in their power, and they assist us because we ask them, remembering that we are divine beings with free will. And so we have to ask for the assistance, and then those that are ascended masters or are the angelic and archangelic realm are permitted to assist us. And it's because you ask, you believe, and you ask. So you could do it in your own power, but because you don't fully comprehend your power, you ask that being, and you ask and give permission, and that is why that happens like that. Because that happens to me with Archangel Raphael, who is serves on the green ray of healing. And I ask him all, like whenever I will say, Raphi, I need this or whatever, when it's to do with health and healing, whatever. I understand that I am the divine creator, connected to Source, Mother, Father, God, Crystal, as I explained. But because I'm not standing fully in my power, the ascended beings, the archangels, and the angelic realm are able to assist me. And because my belief is so strong, Archangel Raphael always assists me when we come to healing. So that just came to me now. But it's
okay. So it's not you projecting your power through that deity. It's you forgetting your true power and then requesting assistance through that deity, whichever the deity is. And they go, yeah, you can do it yourself, but okay, here we go.
Well, they are here, like the archangels are here. Archangels were created in a standard for us. So they are almost saying, with no disrespect, they are servants to mankind. They are here, and some people will say, well, but it was God created them to assist humanity, to assist us. So they are there to serve. And I've had that in a few channelings that I've been in, where Archangel Michael speaks about this, Raphael, Gabriel, that they are there to assist us, and they have divine permission to assist us if we ask. They cannot assist unless we ask, because of our free will. And because we as human beings do not understand or do not remember our full divine power, they assist us. And the same with the ascended masters. They are there to assist us because they have ascended. So they have dealt with all the karma, all the issues, all the stuff. And now they actually are almost hanging around waiting for us to call out. I used to, as a child, I always spoke to Yeshua, Jesus. And so I had this I used to say he was my bestie. And every challenge in my life, I was able to call on my bestie, crying, hurt, pain, whatever. And then when I started to evolve in terms of remembering who I was, my bestie brought me other besties. And so now I've got a whole lot of besties, and those are your guides. Each one of us have guides. We have people or ascended beings, angelic beings, people that, well, I call them people, but they are of the higher realm, the archangels, the angels, and whatever. And they are there basically, to use the term, at our beck and call, to assist us. So, so
there you are. So there you are, everybody. So in answer to the question, can you achieve enlightenment if there are so many gods? Why are there so many gods, and you can still achieve enlightenment? Because it comes down to what you believe, but B, if you ask them for help, any of these gods, they are all ascended, and they will give you the help. So we're going to talk about prayer in another episode, but that's what we think. Have you got anything else to add, darling?
No, that's it.
No.
Yeah. And, I want to say, in terms of, some people will watch this and say, these two are nutters, this is not true, or whatever. They are a little bit right, but in terms of the nutters. But I remember a channeling by Lady Nada, Mary Magdalene. And she said that everybody finds themselves at their place of truth. So Ioannis's truth is not Deborah's truth, because you, on your different journey, on that ray of light, you find yourself somewhere. And so your truth is equivalent to the place that you find yourself at. So truth is ever changing as you evolve. And that was a huge thing for me. So, yeah.
Exactly.
Our truth might not be your truth, and that's okay.
And that's okay. And anyway, that's what we think. That's what we think. What do you think? Leave a comment below. We read all the comments, and we will get back to you on anything that you want to discuss, as long as it doesn't take too long. No, just leave a comment below, press the notification bell, subscribe and share. If you got something out of this, please pass it on. I'm going to say cheerio for now, and you're going to say?
I send you all lots of love and light. Bye-bye.
Excellent. Thank you very much, everyone, for your time. We're very grateful, and sending you love and peace and truth. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Love you.